Man, I got a seriously hot one for you this time. This time I am interviewing the maestro, the violin expert. Call him Obi-Wan or Yoda. I'm gonna call him Yoda because he all into this and he has done it. You know, we're all about the entree musician's mindset, discipline, and focus. Well, this cat has all of that rolled into the whole enchilada. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jerald Daemyon. Welcome,
What's going
welcome
on,
to the
brother? What's
Entree
going on? What's
Musician.
going
You
on?
got it, man. I'm so happy to be connecting. So happy to hear what you got to say because you have been doing it and you have been doing it and you have been doing it right. You know how
Well,
it's to
I
be done.
invented it. I invented it.
There you go.
It's like a lot of people. I invented it. So,
Right,
and
right, right.
along with one of my other colleagues too.
Mm-hmm.
She took it to some other levels too. Karen Briggs, she's a very good friend of mine and
Yes.
colleague.
Awesome. Okay.
And
Okay.
but it's good to be on the show. I know a lot of people always curious about me. I'm probably as obscure as Prince or Sade when it comes down to my visibility. But
Yeah.
there are a lot of songs and a lot of artists I've been working with and producing.
Right.
We got K John. I've touched his career. Um, Ira Levon, Maurice Mahan,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
collaborations with Masters at Work, just Bootsy Collins. I've kind of been all around the spectrum with the violin and the producing.
See?
But it's just good to be back in the mix, and I think what I think people are going to really appreciate and enjoy now is that I'm gonna come back and how to say I never went anywhere. It's just
Right.
I was
Right.
in the multiverse.
Okay.
I was in the
Okay.
multiverse
Right.
on
Right.
Earth 1,000,000.2.
Shut up.
You
Okay.
know, being the violin Jedi master that I am.
Hey, there he is.
But
There he is. Yeah, because
as I crossed through dimensions and multiverses, and I came back to Earth One,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and saw what was happening with music in general.
Right.
In the future, we initiated Operation Bring Back the Music.
Well,
So now I'm here. I'm back here to bring back the music and save jazz. It's on life support. I got to go ahead
oh.
revive
Mm-hmm,
it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Clear, bang.
Yeah,
But
right.
we have a
Okay.
lot of wonderful things coming.
That.
Wonderful records that I've laid my hands on, handcrafted records. It's at least 10 records, easy.
Wow. Wow. Talk about busy. Talk about
And one of
busy.
them's on one of your teachers. As a matter of fact, we talked about that
Shut
before.
up.
One of them's
Okay.
on one of your teachers.
Okay. Okay.
Deblon Jackson, jazz flautist. Yeah, so
I gotta connect with that. I gotta definitely connect with that. I'll reach out to her too and say, yo, what's up? Because she's been doing it for a minute too. She's been doing it
yeah,
seriously
we
for
got
a
to get
minute.
her on the show.
Yeah,
We got to
trust
get her
me.
on the show. You're
I'm gonna
really gonna
be
like her record.
okay. All right, I'm gonna be pounding that pavement,
I'm
heading
gonna
up that way.
qualify it and say it's the best flute record probably ever.
Okay.
Only second to Hubie Law's Family. And
Okay.
we know how
Okay.
He makes the flute sound like birds in the Garden of Eden.
Like wow. Like wow. Okay.
Yeah, Hubie
Okay.
Laws,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that is,
Uh-huh.
I don't
Well.
think anybody has ever touched that, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, Deblon has her own sound and style, and
Okay.
she's focused, disciplined, and about beautiful and great music.
Excellent. 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 Well, hey, you cannot expect anything less from the cats from the 313. And that's another thing that I wanted to bring out. We got the 313 going on here in the house tonight. Everybody's from Detroit. That's
Yeah,
my hometown. Okay, where I grew up and everything. Jerald Daemyon's from Detroit and everything. And I was looking over your bio a little bit just to make sure I was trying to get things right. You came out of Wayne State University.
I went to the weekend school of music at Wayne. They had a
Okay.
weekend
Okay.
school. As a youth, I went there
Yeah.
for like some semi-private violin classes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
most of my instruction was developed by Dr. Morris Holkberg. He was the assistant concertmaster at the Detroit Symphony.
Okay.
And at that time, I was a student at Cass Tech as
Ah,
well. So,
okay.
I had a pretty successful concert career as a youth.
Mm-hmm.
And, the things that I learned from then and being in Detroit, just the wonderful thing about great music, or how to say, I'm from the city of Motown. That's what I
Well,
tell people. Then they automatically know it's Detroit.
yes,
But Detroit has a rich musical history, and I
it does.
hope that the leadership there is actively working to maintain that rich history.
Right, 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 right. So Cass Tech, you would be contemporaries with Regina Carter, another noted
Oh no,
violinist from
she's
there.
easily got about 8 years on me all day
Okay.
long. Yeah, she's.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ran into someone that told me that she was like around my age. I said, absolutely not, because she wasn't there when I was there. I was like,
Okay.
no, that's just not possible. So
I got you.
you
I
know
got
how
you.
sometimes the internet makes us younger than what we really are.
Oh yeah. Well,
you
I'll
know,
tell you, the
yeah.
thing is that you could tell though that there's definitely a trend towards innovation and just leadership roles in the music industry coming out of the 313. Straight up. I mean, she's been killing
Oh
it for
yes,
a while. You've been
you
killing
got
it for a
Eminem,
while. Yeah, Eminem killing it. You know,
Eminem, Kim,
right?
Kim,
Right?
the artist
Right?
Kim, Bob
Yes.
Seger. Come on now,
I mean,
to
just keep it going.
Dwele.
Keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be here all night. I mean, but
Big time, big time, big time. So tell me about your thought processes, your focus, and everything throughout this entire journey. How did you keep it going? How did you overcome the obstacles? What were some of your obstacles?
well, it's interesting that you were asked that. And I was funny. I was talking to a student and a friend, young person, about obstacles, and she faces some obstacles being an African American female string player.
Mhm.
And I was telling her, I said, there are a lot of classical violin players, who run into this wall that is placed there, and it's almost immovable. I mean, it's like, how do you break through a 12-foot deep wall, and then the wall is probably 100 feet tall? And I told her, I said, there are a lot of African American string players or string players of color who were still trying to break through that wall. And instead, I asked her, I said, what would you think, knowing me? And we've had some extensive conversations. I said, what would you think I would do if the wall was in front of me? And she said, well, knock it down. I said, no. I said, I would jump up on the top of the wall and stand on this institution, institutionalized. I hate to really use this word, but I have to, particularly with orchestras
Mhm.
and African American string players. I mean, it's just some kind of institutionalized racism there. For some reason, they feel that their African American string players aren't qualified to be in these orchestras. I
Mhm.
mean, you're playing symphony music, for crying out loud. I mean,
Mhm.
most string players have played that music, have studied it extensively just as much as anyone else in the orchestra. And so I just kind of relegated to, they just don't say they never wanted us there. I mean, I think one of the most profound uh, examples of that in the perception of it, of this European thought process with respect to string players, is the movie The Chevalier. And I've
Yes.
asked several people about that movie, have they seen it? And the opening scene, it says it all. Mozart is in there; he's entertaining. The royalty are there, and then in walks Chevalier. And Mozart has no clear idea who the heck he is because Mozart's in another realm on a whole nother level, and he's been at this thing all his life. But not knowing, but just being presumptuous, when St. George calls him out, he says, well, like you, how would you even know anything about it? It was so condescending,
right? But
it is pretty much how musicians, classical musicians, view musicians of color. They're kind of just attached to it or something. And the reality is that we're all the same. It's about the music. I don't care whether you're black, white, yellow, or green. Let's make some music and enjoy it. And there will be some people who maybe understand this particular song better than others, and there will be some that play a passage better than another. But it's still an opportunity to learn from each other. So when the Chevalier grabs the instrument, he just blows Mozart off the stage, off his own stage, and Mozart runs away like he threw a tantrum. And that is the typical response, when people in orchestras are exposed to African American string players that are highly proficient. Now, the one thing is proficiency is one thing. Then you go usher in the confidence. Oh, they're crying foul, because one thing they really just are not comfortable with is a African American string player being very confident, and sure-footed, which is, we all should be confident and believe in what we do. But I think it's the confidence of our people and our ancestral commitment to survival and overcoming, all the way from Africa all the way to the streets of Montgomery. We have done things that have made life better for a lot of people who just showed up, and yet we're still fighting,
right?
And they're still benefiting, from our own labors,
right?
And that's a challenge being an artist in this type of atmosphere, because it kind of makes you think, like, why am I doing this? To what degree of success could I really ultimately have if, there's not a place for me in something that universities and conservatories sell me to the tune of between $80,000 and $200,000. It's like you graduate from high school, then you go to a university or conservatory, and you walk out the door and you graduate, and you're maybe $120,000, $200,000 in debt, and you can't even get a job because there's enough people in one school to almost fill up every available symphony orchestra slot in the entire country. So then what happens to everybody else?
Yes.
So we have to start creating new opportunities for ourselves, which is pretty much what I did. I was fully functional in the orchestra. I just think I just woke up early and said, I can't make any real money playing other people's music. And, this classical music isn't really challenging me. I listen to it. I study it. I practice. I'm a very proficient classical violinist. Very. I think to an extent where most people are just so unaware, because I'm not running around, jumping around on YouTube like I'm some court gesture or something. But I saw it as an opportunity when I studied this stuff. I was trying to expand on it, and I found that there were limitations, and that I realized that I was not an interpreter of music. I was a player and a creator of music.
Okay.
When we hear these great violinists, they're interpreting someone else's idea.
Yes.
And a lot of people are just good at that. It's great to be that way. But I think what a lot of violinists who are great interpreters don't understand, that the composers and Paganini, even Mozart, Beethoven, Mozart should have known better to bring a violin to a violin fight. He might have been successful with a piano. It would have been a fair fight. It'd been a good fight. But these musicians, when that orchestra stopped, the cadenza came, they improvised. They weren't reading anything off of paper. Most of these violin players out here, they don't even write their own cadenzas. They lack the capacity, the intellectual capacity to be creative. And that's what I've been doing has allowed me to expand and further develop myself intellectually, and in a creative way, because I've really learned a lot about life, people, science, physics, technology. For those who know me, half the country calls me Jerald Daemyon, the producer.
Okay.
Everybody knows I play the violin, but there's a significant amount of people now who understand that I'm a producer. So it's forging away and believing in myself and knowing that I could create something that would last just as long as a Mozart piece or Beethoven or even Coleridge Taylor, who's a wonderful African American composer, St. George Chevalier, William Grant Steele, Florence Price. All these are very credible and respectable composers, and I felt like if they could do it, and they were very intelligent people, I could do it, and do it my way and do something that's innovative.
Well, there you go. I mean, that if that isn't jumping on top of the 12-foot wall, I don't know really what is. And that's a perfect example of mindset, discipline, and focus, to overcome those types of obstacles and to do it with your background on an instrument like the violin, which can be so unforgiving sometimes, and there's a mindset during your training that there's constant competition among your peers as opposed to collaboration. You see a lot of that in the orchestras and in your training, whether it's the Suzuki method or any of the others that are out there. It's you have to compete for this chair, all of that sort of thing. And well, tell me about how all of that morphed into your productions and your emphasis and or focus in like jazz and other genres like that.
Well, I always say, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me, that competition is a good thing. It makes us better. And it's not just in music. I mean, we compete as healthcare professionals, doctors, uh, corporate executives for opportunities, um, businesses. You have your own business and you're competing for market share, be it a restaurant, be it a clothing store, or competing for your piece of the American dream or pie. And capitalism has kind of forced us all to compete uh, against each other. And you're right. There's not a lot of competing with each other
Mm-hmm.
unless you're playing some kind of organized sport.
Well, yeah.
One thing about this music, if you don't play in a band, you know, you're like a you're Ronin. You're like a samurai, a lone samurai, just out there. And for me, I know a lot of people. I say a lot of things, but people know I will back it up. Take the best. Instead of sending me a video of somebody, that happens a lot. I'm okay. I know. I think that a lot of people find the violin entertaining now. You have a lot of young players who play popular songs. I mean, very popular songs. I mean, those are good songs too. Taylor Swift, Adele. Um, you got Sam Smith. I mean, they play. They're playing a lot of pop music. They're not playing a lot of black music.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I noticed is that when it comes down to the whole pecking order, you got the country, the pop, then the hip hop, and the R&B is just, it's a thing of the past. And so we have a lot of young people who take the violin and saw off a melody, and they jump around and look cute. I mean, and I'm still just blown away because I asked one of my colleagues, I said, why is everybody smiling while they're playing the violin? I said, I am so deep and focused.
Right.
I'm like, it makes me feel good, but when I grab it, I'm you know, I'm trying to make you feel something, you know, that goes just beyond a smile, that it touches your soul in a way where that I leave some kind of philosophical impression on you. Um, and I think that's important. As artists, we have to look at the world and still find beauty in it when it's not been beautiful to us or not been right and fair to us. Um, as professionals, I mean, because my background, I don't have a music degree. That kind of eluded me. And I didn't think I necessarily needed one. You know, my background's in science and math, but you know, they say music and math go together, but I don't know a lot of musicians who are good at math and science. To be honest with you, I very few.
Well, there are more than you might believe.
Listen,
they go hand
there's
in hand.
A few of them that I'm thinking that, okay, why are these musicians producing their own records? Because computer-based music is where it's at. That's where you should be. I have a lot of musicians who they can't even record and engineer themselves. But what I see is now there's been a lot of what I would say violent buffoonery going on.
Okay.
You know, everybody, these violin players, they're like court gestures out there. And at some point, I think we need to re-engage what I created and built, what made it so special and unique. When I did this stuff back in 95, 96, everybody's like, oh, you know, it's too R&B, it's too this, it's too that, you know.
They're still playing it.
And
they're 30,
well,
30 years later.
You know.
They're still playing it. No one can, and they can't squash it or say, oh, it fits in this. I'm hearing it on multiple genres of multiple different stations. So, you know, it's
yeah, I haven't gone anywhere. I may be the only violin player on radio, mainstream radio, streaming radio. But it's a testament as to what I believe in. I believe in commercializing what I do. I mean, you know, the internet and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and there's a commercialization over there. But and now here's the thing. I'm going to reclaim what is mine, and I'm going to take it with force.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of violin players are going to be kind of somewhat offended because I think a while back we thought we would kind of come back and revisit the, you know, the world in terms of performance and records. And I told everybody put their violins back up in their case. And I did this on Facebook, and I went down the list. I named I had a list, and everybody was like, "We're glad you're back. We're excited. You know, we're looking forward to it." And there was one person that said, "Why has it got to be about a competition?" It's like, why not?
Well,
why not?
Okay.
You know, I'm about what's forthcoming now is you know, I've put so much technique behind now what I'm doing now, you know, not just violining, but virtuosic technique playing across the entire violin.
Okay.
And that's something that I functionally do well live. And I think I can attribute a lot of that to me deep diving into the producing.
Okay.
Working with a lot of great singers and artists. It opened my ears up in a different way. My perception of how I fit into what I'm playing or who I'm playing with, what I can contribute, be it something that I could play a part that would be kind of more like what a guitar player would play.
Okay.
Put a wah-wah effect on the violin, or I'll pluck and pick like a guitar player would pick. Sometimes I do that, and then sometimes I might just function like a string player, like playing whole notes and accompaniment.
Yes.
But when it's time to point and shoot, like Latin music, I've kind of been in some kind of, I guess, in a place and space with this new project, The Matador. I think I sent you some info on it.
Yes. Yes.
I had to send you the snippets, but it is the definitive violin statement.
Okay.
And this is something I've been working on for a long time.
Okay.
And, it got better as I got better, not so much better as a violinist, but better as a producer. I started to really hone my skills, and then the software things, and then just my encounter with even better musicians in terms of guitarists or trumpet or sax horn sections,
Yes.
bass players, different people. It helped me take this thing to a whole nother level, and I think what we're going to see with that is that I'm going to redefine how people perceive the violin in Latin music and just the violin in general. Now it's time to get your classical chops out, because I'm taking names and slang.
Okay.
You already know you play. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
checked you out, man.
Oh yeah.
I hear you over there doing your thing. You got a good tone.
Thanks.
What
Thanks.
instrument is that you play? What is that? What violin is that?
I have a few of them. This one is a realist, 5 string.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
On most of those recordings, that's what I
I met
use.
a violinist who uses that. What else do you use it? What
Um,
else are you using?
you mean as far as effects or different other violins? Because I
No,
also have the
the
Yamaha.
instruments, the
Oh,
violin.
okay. I have the
Okay,
Yamaha
okay,
5 as well,
yeah,
and
okay,
there's a violinist, a person who makes violins, that was on, I think, Amazon. He was selling the, no, I'm sorry, no, eBay. He was selling his instruments on eBay.
okay.
It's a solid 5 string, electric that he made. He put out a limited edition. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but Yefente. That's another
Okay.
person whose instrument that I purchased, and I use that a fair amount. The reason I do that is because his electronics that he has in it, uh, it doesn't require any battery backup or anything, and the connections I found have been the most reliable for me. So if
Okay.
yeah, when you're
Okay.
going out to do a gig, you plug in, you're ready to go. You don't want to have to, oh no, my connections are loose. I have to tighten this. I find that to be a
Mm.
big hassle. So yeah, that my Yefente violin, and again, I don't know if I'm saying the name correctly, but that has been my go-to for a long time. Yeah.
Well, you get what you pay for.
Well, there
You
is
know.
that. There is that, and I
Yeah.
tell myself that I need to definitely invest in one of the high ends, or get a newer Zeta or something like that, because I have one of those, but I don't really use it because to me it's very heavy. It's one of the old dulcimer types. It has the MIDI connection, but it's back from the 80s, so it's really kind of bulky, to me.
I
But
play a Zeta Jazz,
I
a
saw
Jada
that.
JB 205, a white one.
Yes, that's one of the
So that
newer.
would be
That's one of the
considered a
newer.
vintage. No,
Yeah,
the one I have is a vintage.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay. I meant
before
newer from their
Steve.
from their old editions. Um, when they came out, when Zeta kind of went downhill, and then someone recently bought it and resurrected it. So Zeta is back
Okay, yeah,
again.
Steve has it
Yeah.
now. Yeah, those instruments are lighter. They have a different kind of
Yes.
sound too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use the original Zeta.
But I
Lupante
have a
uses the original
question,
Zeta too.
and Jean-Luc Ponty uses the original Zetas too. Yeah. You
Mhm.
have a purple violin, a purple 5 string, I believe it is.
Yes, I do.
What
Yes, it
kind
is.
is that puppy? I mean, that is a gorgeous instrument.
Well, I'm from the Midwest coast, so is
Okay.
Prince. You know, it gets
Well,
real purple in the Midwest coast. A lot of folks don't realize that.
hey,
The best musicians
uh,
have purple instruments.
well,
Prince,
what is that a
Gerald
custom?
Daemyon.
Is that a
It
custom instrument
it
or
is it is probably one of the most sought after violins um, out there. It is definitely one of the most best looking violinists ever. It is definitely a work of
gorgeous?
art.
Oh, yes.
Um, I saw one recently
Mhm.
online, and I'm not gonna say the business because I'm not promoting them. But I was like, wow,
Oh, I don't
I had
mind.
seen one. I thought possibly that I had the only purple one. And I was going to ask the Tucker Barrett, he's the violin maker. He made
Okay.
those, and he stopped making them a long time ago.
Oh,
And he does guitars, and he committed himself to that work. He just felt
okay.
like the violin thing. It was, at that time, he's competing against a lot of brands, and he was kind of doing it himself. And but he really crafted a really great instrument.
Okay.
Um, and he just kind of went back into the guitar thing with it. But
Hmm.
I know that anybody who considers themselves a top player would want to have that instrument in their collection.
Okay.
I would go as far as it's like in terms of the rarity, it would be like a Jimi Hendrix violin,
Wow.
because he's had some that were kind of like a neonish, kind of yellowish
Yes.
green.
Yes.
But there's a lot of wood ones floating around. I had one of those too, and
Hmm.
somebody stole it.
Oh man.
I had one of the ones that are wooden,
Yes.
and those were okay too. They had an interesting sound,
Okay.
but I can take any violin and make it sound good. I mean,
Well,
but
that's the thing.
I just recently started playing that instrument. I had
Did you?
not played it for a good 20 plus years.
Okay.
It
Okay.
sat in the case
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I have other instruments. I mean, I
Hmm.
have I've got what you call it, a Vivo to Ted Brewer violin,
Hmm.
lights up,
Okay.
acrylic, all clear,
Yes.
has my name on it. It's been customized, and
Custom. Yes.
I have a one-off uh, Barkus Berry, but it's really not a Barkus Berry anymore. I endorsed for them at one point too,
Right.
and that sat in the case for about a good 6 years.
Okay.
And one of the folks called me up and said, "Hey, uh, did you get your violin set up?" I'm like, "Who the heck is this?" The
Hmm.
guy who was in charge at the time, and we
Hmm.
talked, and I said, "Well, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I need," and we set it up exactly for me. It's stealthed out. It was probably not an instrument like it probably in the world,
Okay.
and it's actually the instrument that I use to record the Matador. And
Ah. Okay.
um, the the Gerald Daemyon Experience is the new record. I
Yes.
used it on probably 4 or 5 of the songs, um, or half of the songs. It's kind of for me. I grab a violin. It's kind of like, oh, I think this one's going to sound better, or it might be just kind of how I'm feeling the part.
Hmm.
But one
Hmm.
thing about that instrument, it's a 4 string instrument, electroacoustic,
Right.
and when it's on two, it's like 10. The plugs have been reinforced,
Right. Right.
gold soldering. The fingerboard has been sanded down. It
Okay.
plays faster than probably any violin out there. Of
Hmm.
course, I play fast too,
Hmm.
so it kind of suits my playing.
Right.
It's a very articulate instrument, I think,
Okay.
and I think I remember being at this violin retail place, uh, and I was playing some early pieces of what I was working on to one of the guys. He's okay. I
Yes.
don't know if he's still there anymore, but he said, "Man," he said, "it doesn't sound like a Barkus Berry at all." I said, "Well, it isn't anymore.
Okay.
It's,
Okay.
it's I call it the Incredible Hulk. It's
Ah.
green, and
Okay.
I call it the Incredible Hulk."
Uh-huh. It's
Somehow
a
I
four
think
string as
somewhere
well.
Barkus Berry infringed on it's a 4 string.
Okay.
I think Barkus Berry infringed on someone's paint copyright, and then they had to stop making them. So
Oh.
I don't know how many they made. I think maybe they had to destroy the rest of them. But I haven't seen one the same color as mine since. I did get a colleague of my violin teacher's one when I had mine. I got her one. So I know there are at least two people with them, but hers is not souped up either. But
Okay.
hers is not souped up at all. But these instruments, they're kind of maintained, and I take care of my instruments. So the Zeta just came back after being out in repair for a good 9 months.
Oh yeah.
Steve just
Okay.
sent it back. Yeah. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
but it works. It's strong. It's doing what it's
Okay.
supposed to do.
Okay.
When they got back, I practiced with it for 8 hours.
Back to your original love, man. I
Well,
tell you, nothing replaces
everybody
your
knows
baby.
that my weapon of choice is a Zeta violin.
Zeta.
If I, I don't know, maybe because uh, I've been playing it so long
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that it just kind of naturally works
It's
with
right in your
how
hand.
I play.
Yes. I
And
get it.
for me, uh, my violin is an extension of me. I tell people you need to have a very intimate relationship with your instrument, your axe, and even horn players, whatever, guitar players.
Yes.
I mean, if you
Yes.
got to sleep with it,
Hey.
so you
Hey.
can know what she feels like in the dark.
Well.
So you know how to touch her when she's sensitive,
Okay.
when she's cold. You
Okay.
know how to lean into her. And then you learn how to treat each other right with
Right.
respect and
Yes.
dignity.
Yes. Yes.
But I find a lot of violins, even acoustic violin, they have no
Mm-hmm.
connection to their instrument. They just play.
Oh.
Oh, this is a $200,000 violin. This is this that, and the other. I'm kind of like, wait, it sounds like any other violin to me.
Right.
Yours may be a little louder, a little more mellow. Maybe it's the string thing, but we all hear different.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people carry that violin value on their sleeve when at the end of the day, it's like a piece of art or something. I don't know. It's only worth what somebody's willing to pay.
True that. True that, but there's all kinds of thought processes and ways to do your own thing, and that's what everybody has. And since we're talking about mindset, discipline, and focus, how do you apply those concepts to getting your unique sound on the violin?
You know, I've always, I came up during the era of Lou Ponte,
Mm-hmm.
Stuff Smith,
Mm-hmm.
Noel Pointer,
Mm-hmm. Ray Nance.
Papa John Creech. I had a lot of those in my ear, and I would say a lot of people, and a lot of people give Stefan Grappelli probably too much credit.
Okay.
And I say this in a sense, I stumbled across a bunch of recordings of Noel Pointer. Stuff Smith,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening. This is early stuff. This stuff is like straight swinging. I'm listening to how he's getting around the violin, and I'm listening. Then I go back and say, Stefan was listening to stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
They
stuff
did some
was older than
recordings together and
Stefan.
everything too. There was some hotness
But he
going
was
on.
listening to him
Yes.
long before
Yes.
they even got to the same arena of recording.
Right. Right. Right.
And I think a lot of people, here we go again, a lot of people attributing jazz violin to
What he
somebody
did to somebody else.
who really never occupied more than one area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can play bop. I can swing. I grew up in a bop setting. Me and Regina Carter played in the same group with Donald Walden, the
Okay.
Detroit Jazz Orchestra.
Yes.
I was like 14 years old. They were grown. They were grown,
Mm-hmm.
sure. But she was a great soloist. Donald would let her solo, but I never, he kind of they had other musicians there, sax, trumpet, and everybody. So
Yes.
the solo fairway wasn't just opportunity wasn't rightfully there for me in that
Mm-hmm.
setting,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't stop me from developing my sound. I think for me overall, in my sound, I think stylistically, I think a lot of violin players have an affinity to her style,
Yes.
not necessarily the genre she plays,
Right.
but I can hear a lot of influence a lot of I can just hear the residue on a lot of these players today that resonate from her. A very acoustic sound.
Yes.
And just the phrasing. And then I even my colleague Karen Briggs, wonderful violinist.
Yes. Awesome.
For those who don't know her, I mean, she's the sister that was playing with Yanni at the Acropolis,
Yep.
lit it on fire.
The girl in the red dress.
She was only black. She's only sister on the whole freaking stage.
Yeah, true. But she was the girl
said,
in the red dress on the violin, killing it.
Oh yeah. She said it was tense. She said there was some moments there for her. But she fought through it and powered up,
Mindset,
like a true queen,
Yes.
I would say she's the queen of the violin, of modern violin playing, Definitely. And I was telling a friend of mine about it. I hear some residue of her on some of these players. Even in the movie Chevalier, there's that little lick that he does, and it is very. It is actually something she's actually like played verbatim. So it's something that it's a signature, as I call it, signature move.
Right.
And I tell people, I said, don't sleep on her. She's got some signature moves that it's like kung fu.
Yes.
You get hit with one or two of those, and you're not getting back up.
Right, you're not. you are not. Totally
me. She's a good spirit, and so she's the person that's going to box with you.
Okay.
and lets you at least think you could throw a few blows.
Right.
Before she finishes you. You get
finished on
me.
like, okay.
I'm gonna go straight Mike Tyson. You remember Mike used to knock him out 30 seconds.
Right.
You're like, what happened? Champ, look here. Great fight, baby. We got the check. We're gonna meet you at the hospital.
Yeah, right. I don't have to do this anymore.
We're gonna meet you at the hospital.
You can, but
yeah. But I strike with musical impunity.
Okay.
For a reason, so people can respect the violin. I've struck a lot of horn players, a lot of guitar players. It's they get alarmed. It's like, what the hell just happened? Because I'm not always running around playing. It's just my own visibility. You listen to the radio or listen to certain things, then oh, okay, it's that guy.
There he is.
But when the violin comes out, I'm walking in the door like the Terminator. I got the leather jacket on, the shades. I'm walking. I'm really not talking to a lot of folks. I'll sign up on the list and say it's JD.
Right.
They're like, well, who? JD coming up? What you playing? The violin. They're like, you got a microphone? I said, no, just plug me up. It's like, what the hell? Then I whip out the instrument, like everybody's in the room, like dun dun. It's like, and, you pull a Zeta out, or even that Barrett or anything like that out in those kind of places, and everybody's like, what the heck? It's just, this is a real ass axe. This is an axe. This guy,
right?
He's good. He's not going to be worrying about being heard in the mic. If anything, this joker's going to be trying to turn me down. But sometimes you just got to kind of knock them over the head and remind them that you will give this violin some respect.
Well,
but I think with my sound, what the good thing about it is I don't hear a lot of people who are trying to play like me or sound like me at all.
Okay.
Which is interesting, considering when it comes down to the record and the sales and the visibility, that kind of thing. I'm the guy that drives that sound. Even contemporary jazz, some people call it smooth jazz. I can do it all, but I drive it in such a way where that I sound like me. No one else sounds like me. A lot of these folks, I think I found my sound, and I'd say somewhere in between studying everybody who you could listen to back then.
Right.
Lou Ponte, Noah Pointer, Stuff Smith, Grappelli. I used to jam with Grappelli and Barney Kessel on Limehouse Blues every morning.
Really?
I lay it out, be playing all over stuff. I
Okay.
mean, all over Grappelli.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And you know, I always and the funny thing about it is there's a lot of violinists out there who revere him without understanding stuff.
Right.
Stuff Smith.
Right.
I mean, he was just Grappelli. He had a smoother sound in violin.
Yes.
Maybe even had some better microphones, and the recording technology was a little different back when he was really making recordings.
Yes.
Um, but the recordings of stuff, I mean, they're really gritty. You can tell they're old recordings.
Mm-hmm.
But if you took those things and woke them up and remastered them or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna hear some things just like, wow, how did he do that?
Right. And why
Uh,
hadn't we heard this before?
I find. Well, I mean, you got Joe Venuti,
Yes.
Michael Brainiac.
Yes.
Even I was a big fan of Doug Cameron.
Really? Okay. Cool.
One of my students turned me on them. I was
Oh
teaching a
yeah.
young man violin, and
Uh-huh.
he told me about Doug Cameron. I was like, this guy's kind of cool. I like his
Yeah.
work.
Yes. He
And,
did
and
some
and
very nice
actually,
stuff.
I would put him actually. Maybe a lot of them are sounding like Doug Cameron too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I guess if Doug was playing um, Taylor Swift or these songs, uh, um, these artists, these young artists,
Yes.
if he was playing that music, they would sound pretty much the same. I think
Yes. Yeah.
he
That's the
would
vibe.
definitely be a better. He would have a definitely better improvising
Take on it. Oh
kind
yeah.
of thing. But
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
he's a very sure-footed violinist
Yes.
for what he does.
Yes.
I've never met him though.
No. I interviewed
I
him
I've never.
about 20 years ago for something else I was doing at the time.
What
Very,
was his
very
vibe? What was he
chill.
like? Was he cool?
Very chill cat.
Okay.
Because then, things that every was primarily done by text and all of that sort of thing. And he shared a lot of
Hmm.
his like
Hmm.
materials and all that kind of stuff with me and all of that. But very
Hmm.
personable, very forthcoming and frank, just like you, says things as they are,
Oh, okay. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh
I
yeah.
like him already.
Well,
I
we
think.
talked about tone and we talked about some equipment and all that stuff, but we didn't talk about one obvious thing. And non-violinists won't get this. I apologize to you guys in advance, but let's talk about bows. It's an
Okay.
obvious, important part of what it is that you use and do. And I know that you've gone through the whole endorsement thing, but what makes you choose your bow?
You know,
A violinist
a
is going
bow
to
for
ask you
me
that.
is a little different than I
Okay.
think what it is to probably a lot of people.
Okay.
Um, People rely on a bow for their tone
Okay.
and what they can do, but a lot of violinists who play contemporary violin. Well, I mean, I don't know. I call myself a contemporary violinist. I play contemporary violin,
Okay.
but a lot of these violin players, they're not really doing things with what they're playing that require a bow of a certain caliber.
Okay.
A carbon fiber bow is always a good bow to have. I mean, I use them all: Pernambuco, Brazil wood. Uh, I use carbon fiber. I've even slayed with some more cheap fiberglass bows.
Mhm.
Um, you know, for me, I prefer if I'm playing outside or in some place that's kind of I might drop the bow. I don't take the good bow out there. I
Okay.
take something out there that I don't mind dropping it. I don't mind it hitting the floor. I don't mind tearing it up or something.
Right.
But for me, my bow is an extension of my hand. So I look at it this way: with my bow, if a bow in my hand, if you press down on it, you're not gonna be able to knock a bow out of my hand. It would almost
Gotcha.
be like pushing my hand down.
Yes.
I have that much resistance and I have that much control over the stick where I
Right.
could just kind of flick it and hit somebody. Like, to me, a bow is like a Slim Jim.
Okay.
Remember, you flick those things like bang.
Yes. Yes.
Law enforcement had those things like I can flick a bow like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I have that much control over the bow, and I think a big part of that has a lot to do with why I'm able to do what I do in terms of playing these electric violins and these different type of violins have a different type of texture and sound. Um, it's not so much the bow for me in terms of my sound. I have my sound and I make sure these violins are able to address my needs. Sometimes, I ease back off the effects a lot of times. I mean, there was a time where I was heavy effect guy. And I remember the Gladys Knight's musical director, his name was Ben. Can't think of his last name. He had braids. He was a really, really great guy,
Okay.
top shelf musician. And he said, man, you're really playing a lot of nice stuff, just turn up effects off and just play. And I remember him saying that, and I kind of went more direct, less effect. And now but I've always been a programmer of effects. I can program an effects unit like right here. You give me one of the things, and it's got all these knobs and these menus. I can get right in and do it. Even a floor pedal, I can get in there and create something quick on the fly. And a lot of that has to do with the science of being a musician. Just like guitar players, your gear, you learn how to use your gear, but violin players have not crossed that frontier yet.
Right. A lot.
Where they understand how to effectively use effects, where that effect is used deliberate. I mean, I got the talk box on the violin, the vocoder. I mean, I do a lot of different things. Wah, synth, MIDI. I've kind of pretty much done it all, but I know how to do it and finesse it. And it's just a learning curve on all of that, how to finesse it. And a lot of it has to do with how you play. So you have to spend as much time you spend practicing, you just spend time practicing with some effects. What works? I mean, a lot of violinists don't know. You go in a room, it's already got a natural reverberation in it. You can't go in there with the same reverb that you played in another room. So you need to be able to dial down, have some settings that work in different types of rooms.
And it depends on if you're doing the acoustic electric versus the straight electric, and all of that makes all the difference too. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
And active versus passive.
Yep.
In terms of the pickup system, I find passive instruments, they're my least favorite because I have to really do a whole lot to get them loud enough to match what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
The science of the violin, and maybe I should, I keep telling people I'm not quite yet ready to reveal what it is and how it is. Because I'm pretty certain once I show everybody, it's going to be something that a lot of folks some people are just going to pick it up. And then there will be people who sound like me.
I'll pick it up.
But.
Yeah.
I am hoping, and before that even happens, a lot of people talk about AI. And I'm like, I love AI. Artificial intelligence. I know how to use it in production and create music, but I would love to AI myself.
Okay.
And I would have to tap in a whole lot of information. I mean, I think AI in terms of me, it would really have to live with me day in and day out, not just on the violin, but how I am with the production.
Yes.
Because a lot of that has influence. I can be funky. There are not a lot of funky violin players out there at all.
Well,
but funk, you gotta love funk and funk.
Yes.
And I don't mean just listening to James Brown.
No.
You might need to listen to some George Duke.
You have to
some Lakeside.
Oh.
Right.
Yes.
No,
they probably need to just
go
and move to Detroit for a while and let that soak in.
Now, see, I tell people, I go all over the country. I said, you guys are funky, but Detroit funk is different.
It
And
is.
so is Minneapolis.
It is.
I spent a lot of time in Minneapolis
Yes.
and St. Paul producing.
Okay. Okay.
And I finally heard it through this guitar player. We were working on a record for Patricia Lacey, one of my artists. She was Luther Vandross's background singer,
Mm-hmm.
and originally the Sounds of Blackness.
Okay.
And this guy come in, and I can't remember his name, but this guy came in and we're in the session. I'm sitting back. I'm like, he said, okay, well, what you want me to do? I sit back. I'm like, well, do you? Here's the track. Let me hear what you got.
Okay.
And so I'm listening, and he's okay. Let me hear. He got the grooving with it, and then in that one instance, the Minneapolis sound came into the room. It's like the Motor City, you know, me with my production and what I do, it just it coalesced itself into this Minneapolis guitar strumming, and I was like, that's what it sounds like. And I heard it. Hearing it on a record is one thing, but hearing it as it is happening,
Yes.
it hits you very different.
Yes.
And this guy had played guitar with Prince too.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And I was just like, okay. And I wasn't like, it's not better than Detroit.
Well,
but what I did
it's
realize
own thing.
is,
Yeah,
it is, but it's a good thing.
uh-huh.
It's a very unique thing. A lot of people, I think, if you're going to be an artist, a musician, painter, sculptor, whatever, you need to become a student of your craft. Even if you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief accountant, become a student of your craft. Understand the history and the culture of the practice of what you do. Right. A lot of people kind of don't understand that has value as a part of your growth.
Yes.
As a human being, I work with people, and when I'm looking at people and how I do, whether I'm writing curriculums for a school district or teaching, I look at as the student is axiomatic. I try to develop the student as a whole. I've always believed education is liberation. To be educated is to desire to be better than what you are. Education is, it's like a key. It's a master key that we can use to unlock the tools of thought. And so when I look at, students and development and just people or community, is how do I make the people around me better as a whole? Not just where they're tapping their feet today,
right?
But where what I created, they can take tomorrow and the future, next week when I'm not there, and take the value out of the cultural value of it, and know that what I presented to them was non-discriminatory. I didn't wrap it up in red. I didn't wrap it up in blue. Heck, I didn't wrap it up in black. I presented it and wrapped it up in something that is universal in this package that we call music that we're all supposed to understand now.
Yeah.
As a violin player, you play, and you understand. Like I said, it's a tough kind of thing to see. Knowing, and I say this, knowing that individuals like myself, we really blazed the trail. We took a lot as young players,
right,
playing in orchestras, and to some degree, I feel like that a lot of that progress has just been kind of just tapered off and lost, because all this technology out here, everybody could be a better player, a better person, a better human being, a smarter person. When I was a kid, I had to go to the library and look in the card catalog for a book.
Right.
I was typing papers. Although we did, in my family, we had computers in my house because I had an uncle who was a mechanical engineer, who worked for one of the big three. And I come from a family of engineers and people who were numbers driven, accountant, mathematicians, all that stuff, science, technology. And I managed to be the only musician to scurry out of the clan, and I'm fourth generation college. My grandfather's father went to college, and him and his brother went to college, and all my uncles and aunts went to college. I went to college degree, and all my kids have degrees. So, so it's a big thing for someone African American to say I'm fourth generation college.
Right.
At my age, it's like that's unheard of. But my great grandfather went to Xavier.
Okay.
He graduated from Xavier. And we really need to take this information, because we're in this information age, and take this knowledge and make ourselves better. And while we're doing that, make the person next to you better, or try and see how you can help them. I think we've got a lot of, it's all about me. And a lot of people follow people who think it's all about them. But, if you follow someone who projects that and says, I'm more important than everybody else, then what is that person going to do when it comes down to your needs, your true needs?
Yes.
He's going to say, hey, it's not my problem. I'm busy. I'm busy doing me.
Hey, I said that from the get-go. It's about me. No. I get that.
Yeah. I mean, really. I mean, and there's a lot of folks out there who are quite vocal about who it's about. But I wonder, I like that in a sense, because that's a leader who can lead people to success is good. But a leader who can lead people to destruction or demise is not good. But maybe there are some of those people. Look, hey, go jump off the bridge. Maybe we might need a few of those folks to jump off the bridge. I don't know. I mean,
but I tell you,
Jerald Daemyon's talking about he wants some people need to jump off the bridge.
You're supposed to take them to the bridge, not let them jump off, unless it's into some funk.
No.
What did George Duke say?
Look here. No. James Brown said take the bridge.
Well, that's
who said that.
That's true. That's true.
And here's the thing.
He said it first.
I'm not going to take you to the bridge.
Okay.
I'm going to take you to another damn universe. Okay.
Well.
I'm taking you out of this world. I'm taking you on a journey beyond your existence. And that's what makes Jerald Daemyon, the violinist, the contemporary violinist, and a lot of people. Exactly.
Yes.
I'm the matador, the bullfighter. No BS.
Yes.
I'm fighting the bull. Okay.
All right.
But a lot of people I think a lot of people miss that too. I guess if I would say I'm like Muhammad Ali, I'm gonna talk a lot of stuff. It's not that word stuff, but
I got you.
And I was talking to one of my colleagues and good friends. He's a cellist. He said, man, half this thing you're about to do right now, he said, you're going to psych a lot of people out anyway.
Well,
just by the sheer talk. It's going to scare a lot of people. I have created a new persona that people are going to see very soon.
Okay.
It's going to be somewhat familiar, but this persona is going to be unforgiving.
Okay.
And I think when the world sees it, some people are going to get excited about it, and some people are just going to be flat out pissed because I'm going to cherry pick your favorites, and hey, I might even create the first violin verses.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't know any jokers who step in the ring with me anyway. I probably have to sit out here and officiate it. That's all. I could be the commentator. I feel like Shannon Sharp. JD.
Well,
let's get ready to rumble. Yeah.
So,
but
when can we expect this to drop?
We got the new record, the Jerald Daemyon Experience, coming within the next week and a half or so.
Okay.
I think I sent you "Love Will Bring Us Back Together."
Yes.
I sent you that song. That's on
dug
there.
Dug that vibe.
I kind of blew some dust off the Roy Ayers joint.
Okay.
I got Stellar Award winner Princeton Williams Porter. That's her
Oh,
on the
that's
vocals.
vocals. Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah. I think when the song's track starts, I say drop a little funk on this track.
Yes.
Boom. It's like,
Yep.
and then I come in with the wah wah on the violin.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
and I said put some stank on it. Put some stank on it. And she does it. She puts that gospel flavor and that stank on it.
Yes.
Because Gerald's got soul. Gerald's got soul. Like Jimmy got soul, Gerald got soul.
Girl got soul.
Um, but we have a lot of different things in there, and you can definitely feel the Detroit vibe and the true Jerald Daemyon
Mm-hmm.
persona in that track. But I like the message of the track. Uh, Love will bring us back together.
Mm-hmm.
We need more of that, and I have a lot of colleagues that I talk to. I talk to a lot of people around the country.
Right.
I don't play with a lot of people around the country, but I talk to a lot of people. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people who do different things. Some of them musicians. And I always say, why can't we just hold hands, sing Kumbaya? They look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, why not? What else are we gonna do? We're gonna kill each other?
Right.
But I guess it's that Kumbaya kind of thing. Let's all love each other and just respect each other and be better for each other. As a part of humanity, we are inextricably connected to each other.
True that. True that.
When you do well, I do well. What
Yes.
I do directly and indirectly affects you and
Yes.
people who we aren't even talking to right now.
Exactly.
You figure
Exactly.
there's gonna be some violin players who may not even know me. I've been places and stayed in rooms. A lot of people are not really connected with what I look like. I mean, I'm like, wow, this is a guy. Like, and I remember being somewhere, and the MC announced that I was there. Everybody's looking around the room. I had already
Yeah.
been around the room a few times,
Shook
you
hands.
know, saying hi from folks, and everybody's like, "What the heck just happened? This guy's been standing around here." But I still had the glasses on, still me. And I've been places where people have not recognized me when I didn't have the glasses on.
Mm.
Just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's the kind of thing where we are all connected to each other in a good way,
Mm-hmm.
and those vibrations, those vibrations of humanity is what keeps us alive. It keeps humanity thriving socially and culturally,
Yes.
but also encourages us intellectually. Um, I'm a thinker, not just a creative thinker, but a thinker. I think a lot. I'm always trying to figure out what I could do to make things better. Um, for people I don't know, people around me, can I inspire people to be decent?
Okay.
For me, I guess a lot of people see me as, confident. And some people would probably call me a narcissist, and I hate when people use that word because I'm like, where the hell did that word come from? And I remember one day, just recently, um, I was somewhere and I heard this friend of mine, musician friend of mine, he used the word a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to women using that word,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they say that word with ease. But then I wonder, as a black man, I think a lot of women don't understand that that's offensive to a black man who has worked hard, has some success, because to get to the top, we must be confident. To get through the bull, the BS, we had to have a degree of confidence
Mm-hmm.
that is like
Mm-hmm.
it's like a armor of resilience. You know, that confidence is key. But they'll call you arrogant, a narcissist. And when I heard a guy use that word, I was stunned.
Okay.
I didn't even I didn't think he knew I was stunned. I looked at him like, I said, "Oh shoot, what the heck just happened here?" I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone.
Mm.
I looked at him, I said, narcissist.
Hmm.
And this is where I went with it. I said, oh, so you using that word too. That's what I said to him. He was like, look at me like, I just went there. I said, well, I hear a lot of women use that word toward us. And since you're like me, what the heck you using the word for? Because it was I'm trying to think, he might have been making a reference to me. He's a friend of mine. I'm like, shoot, if I don't love me, who's gonna love me?
Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing, you know? And sometimes you have to do that mindset reset, to get to be on the same page with the next person. I don't know.
You just killed it. Mindset reset. Always, you should always do a self check, self check in with yourself. Um, and that self check in is about understanding what you're projecting, how people perceive you. Be self reflective and introspective with how you feel about yourself and how you want people to treat you, to make sure that you're projecting that same thing. Don't get mad if you're not good and nice to people and they're rude to you. Or if you put something negative in your universe, well, that negativity has to come back. Yeah,
it does.
But you definitely hit it on that. That's So, but yeah, I don't know. I think confidence is a good thing. I'm
right.
I guess I'm uber confident.
Well, when you live in a world where you're expected to be 7 times as good, and and you've proven it, because I don't know of any other violinist who has in top 40 music their tracks still playing on a multitude of different stations. In other words, you're walking the walk and you're talking the talk. Enough said. Straight up. I mean, it's real. I don't have to make up anything or anything. A lot of people, they hear what you have done and they don't know it's you, but that's fine, because you've done
it's funny because
I
had somebody introduce me to a friend of his who's in Atlanta, and she asked me, did I know this violin player? I said, that's the guy who goes around playing my song. She's like, huh? I said, yeah. And then someone said something about another guy, and I said, oh, you mean fake Daemyon?
Oh,
they were like, what? I said fake Daemyon.
Right.
Just because you put a violin in your son's hand and name him Daemyon don't mean he's Jerald Daemyon.
Right. And there's a lot of people who are out there doing what you did, basically.
Doing what I'm still doing.
Well, what you're still doing.
But they didn't do what I did, because if they did what I did, they would be better.
Got you.
And their music would find its way to where mine is.
Okay.
I think I've given the violin world or community, or whatever you want to call them, ample time to catch up. Okay. I mean, I guess I've kind of been on a sabbatical or something, you could say. But now that's going to change. And that JD that they love to hate, I love the people now. I'm gonna give the people what they want. Only people get really uptight about it, about what I do and how I do it. It's usually some other string player, or another musician. It's never. And I am really the most graceful person that you probably can meet. I have a well-documented history of what I do in the community with kids. It's all over the internet. You see me showing kids of all colors
Mm-hmm.
all nationalities how to play the violin, how to hold it,
Yes.
and I'm letting them hold my instruments. I'm
Right.
not saying get your instrument, which is I remember my manager was like, "You okay with them holding this?" If you don't let them touch it, they're not gonna have no connection to it and
They're not gonna have
desire
a
it.
connection. They're not gonna
You
have any
can't be
love
like,
for it.
"Oh,
Yes, it's gonna be something like
yeah,
they could never reach and all of that. You gotta let them, touch it, feel it, get into it,
you
pluck
gotta
it.
let them put their hands on it and feel it." You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
if I can let you hold a $7,000 electric violin, why not? I mean, and you play it, you bow on it, you hear
Yes,
something come out.
yes,
Why
yes.
not? I mean, you only live once, and guess what? I
Mhm.
can't take the violin with me when I'm gone, but what I can do is inspire others
Yes,
to
yes,
to play and create.
yes.
One of the good things that we have going now is, as I mentioned, Karen Briggs and myself, we have been talking for some time about coming together.
Okay.
I said, Karen, I said, these young bucks out here running around, you know, eating off of what we built and created, and then they're running around with it I almost feel like with no dignity with it.
Mm.
I'm like, I made this stuff sexy. You don't see me walking around with my pants hanging out my butt.
Oh man. Oh, I
Me with a
get.
baseball cap while I'm playing. That is. I don't think there's not anything with me with a baseball cap while I'm performing at all.
Mm.
Um, and I always try and be dressed unless it's some kind of you're not gonna. I'm not gonna look like I just walked out and just walked on the stage and rolled out the bed and got on stage. I try and have some sense of what and how I present, whether I'm playing keyboard
Yes.
for someone, which I do. I do that a lot. I music direct a lot of people,
Okay.
and a lot of people. I've been places where like that's Jerald Daemyon. Wait a minute, he don't play keyboard. He's a violin
Play
player.
violin.
But
See? Yes.
yeah, with the keyboard, and that's why I got the new keyboard record coming out. I think I sent you a little snippet,
Yes.
but
Yes.
the
Yes.
album is called Love Story.
Okay.
Um, you
Okay.
know, the greatest love story ever told on the piano. Get ready to hear it because that's what it is. And then we got the experience in it. But I'm saying is that I talked to her and I said, hey, let's get together and do something. And she said, well, I've been working on something that I kind of based it around a quartet. I said, well, I had an idea too of having a quartet with a rhythm section. I said, really, at the end of the day, I think people want to see us on stage any doggone way. You and I on stage. I mean, come on, what the four top violinists out there, and that's like I said, Regina Carter, Lupante, Karen
Mm-hmm.
Briggs, and myself.
Mm-hmm.
Undeniable. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be entertained. You're gonna get what you expect from
Yes.
a violin.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some guys like that. Christian Howell, he's a solid player.
Yes.
I've
Yep.
never met him. I've talked to him on the phone.
Mm-hmm. I talk to him
Um,
all the time. I've interviewed him on this
oh, okay.
podcast as well. Oh yeah, solid cat.
I
I
got to
need to
get
connect
down
you
there
to.
because he does this string. He's got this
Yes,
string thing he does,
in
and
Asheville,
maybe
North
he don't want me
Carolina.
down there. He never invited me down. He's never invited me down there. But then maybe he just feel like I probably wouldn't come anyway. But
No,
then
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
gonna come
Listen,
being me.
one of the most down to earth cats that you could ever connect with is Chris House.
Oh, he is. I
Okay,
know he is
big
because
time, and
Rodney McCoy
he would
told me
love
about
you
him.
to come there.
Rodney McCoy is acquainted with him.
Uh huh.
And Rodney said he's a great guy. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And then of course, Rodney and I we had a group together. Me, Rodney, and Michael Ward out of New Orleans,
Yes.
and then we called it the Urban Jazz Violin Players,
Well.
which henceforth one of the songs on the record.
Uh
I would say when we come out, welcome to the Players Party. I'm your
huh.
host, Jerald
Uh huh.
Daemyon.
Well.
I can, we popping bottles now.
Well.
You VIP. I just upgraded you.
Oh
You just got
man,
upgraded. You got upgraded to first class now.
that's so
You know,
nice. So
all the stuff
nice.
that you thought you knew about the violin,
Here it come.
it's done.
Here it come.
It's done, But and we had fun doing that. We I got a lot of good things off of them playing with them, hanging out, talking
Mhm.
stories, and just playing together. And they each had some signature moves too. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
I would listen, like,
baby,
I'm gonna take
baby.
that one. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
take that one, and I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna kind of work it into what I do. And
Uh-huh.
I remember Rodney said to me, he's from Pittsburgh,
Mm.
jazz, violin, and fusion.
Okay.
Uh, um, I remember he said to me, he said, Jerald, he said, you got that slide down in ways that that is musical now.
Okay.
He and I said when I do it, it's like me saying woo like that, for myself.
Right?
I play something hot and I slide like, woo like it's hot. And that's kind of how I would hit
Baby.
it. I would hit it like that. And then he had this thing that he would do with this trill thing,
Uh-huh.
and he would make the violin sound like it was moaning. Like I was like, oh,
Ooh. Ooh.
I
Yeah.
like that. And I figured out how to work that into something in my repertoire
Yes,
of
yes.
my bag of tricks, like Steve's cat.
Right, right.
And then playing with Mike Ward, he has a style too. He's
He
very
does.
very kind of bluesy, very
Mm-hmm.
very very R&B old school kind
Yes.
of violin.
Yes.
He's got some really great songs too.
He
Very his
does.
producers and stuff he writes,
Mm-hmm.
very well developed songs. I would say I would put all those songs up anywhere near anything that I produce in terms of
Mm.
uh, you know
Mm-hmm.
jazz. He
Mm-hmm.
has really good jazz songs that he produces that he's
Nice
released.
stuff.
Remember that album called Continuum?
Continuum. Yep.
Very good record.
Yes.
And
Very
he
enjoyable.
had did he did a version of Sun Goddess. I said, yo,
Yes.
man, I like that. I'm like, I
Yes.
need to touch that. And so he sent me the track.
Oh, okay.
And it was all respect. Hey man, go ahead, jump at it. I said, shoot, man, we need to jump on this joint together. But
Well,
I kind of got into that and made it my own. And his son is a violinist too.
Sean.
Both of his
Yes.
sons are. But he's
Sean
got
Ward
one that
and the
that
younger
that
one.
hangs out
Yes.
with me.
Yes.
Yeah, Sean hangs out with me a lot.
Okay.
When we were in the same city or something,
Uh-huh.
and he and he's hung out in this studio here with me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But he's a great guy too, and he sings too. He's got nice music too. And
Right.
but Mike has this certain thing he does, and I figured out. I said I'm going to use that too. And so
Mm-hmm.
between couple with that, and then with me being the guy who can play fast and
Mm-hmm.
you know having an understanding of pentatonics as well as blues and different modes,
Right.
and then just having a good sense of the violin. Just when I stretch across an instrument, I can stretch across an instrument as functional as a horn player, sax player.
Okay.
And I think I've managed to find my way. I figured it out. Okay, so as far as my playing, now I think
Yes.
about it,
Yes.
I'm able to be outside the chords
Mm-hmm.
and still be in and give you the perception that I'm in,
I got you. Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
where that you don't feel like, oh gosh, what is he playing?
Right.
I've always, I think probably now more than ever, I've managed to be that inside outside guy on when it comes down to how I'm improvising. Where
Mm-hmm.
Lupante, we know he's a straight up down pentatonic guy. He's a
Mm.
very, very solid and proficient player.
Yes.
Um, he knows his music, and he knows how to get on top of anything else that he can play. That
Mm-hmm.
if you put something, he'll get on top of it. But it's a very kind of linear, kind of choppy, kind of up and down kind of thing. Whereas I'm going to be kind of more, kind of weaving and bobbing and kind of in and out, different
Bluesy
bow
and funky.
articulations.
Yes.
What that bluesy, funky, very classical.
Mm-hmm.
With what I'm doing these days.
Okay.
Um, but not in a I'm a violin player who can't improvise way.
Got you.
I'm kind of more apply that kind of stuff more for technical foundation of, oh, I want to play 64 notes. Let me go get it. And drop these 64 notes in this one measure or these two measures. You know, I don't have a problem going from the bottom of the violin to the top, all the way to the top, you know, 12th position.
Right.
And then I know how to step there and work my way back across like a true classical concert artist.
Yes, and then come down. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, why am I going back? I need to go half the distance. So I just walk it over in 7th or 8th position. A lot of violinists, you know, your comfort is not there.
Right.
But I figured out how to say a formula on how to get around the instrument. Be outside the chords, where you're gonna blow jazz musicians away, like, whoa, you know, and the people are gonna be like, ouch, you know, what did you just do that? And you just drop right back into the scale. But you know, I try and let the music breathe.
Yes.
I try not to overplay. If I'm overplaying, if you ever hear me overplaying, it's because I'm overcompensating. You know, something's not going on behind me.
Okay.
There's some instability.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily that instability is in my situation. It could be the instability in the rhythm section. If I'm sitting in it, just, you know, it's not stable.
Right.
So then I either have to overemphasize, I have to establish the rhythm and where we are if it's too loose, or I have to either be the dominant player because something is just falling apart in the situation. And I try and think about that from an ensemble perspective. And then can I bring a texture into the room that's going to excite the people that listen? Like, whoa, what did you just do? I remember I went down to I taught a master class at the University of Illinois, Urbana. And the musicians in the class, I said, well, what do you guys do? You know, we go over to this country bar. It's not a country bar anymore, but it's still a country bar, but they play jazz. All the musicians in the school come hang out with it. And I was kind of taken back because when I went down there, the gentleman who said his name is Rudolph Hacken. He teaches the electric strings program down there. But none of the jazz people even came to the master class. They, you know, reached out to them. They had zero interest in it. So I said, well, if they're going to be over there, let me go over there and show them what they missed. And then I'm going to hit them with some impunity. I'm going to strike with some impunity. So I'm in a master class telling these students, like, you know, I'm sensei. This is the dojo. You know, this is kung fu. You know, strike. You know, boom, crane technique, snake technique, tiger. You know, hit them hard.
Okay.
You know, that Bruce Lee punch. Remember how you did punch? You did you like this? And you just you're gonna fly across the room. I said, that's how you got to hit. You know, make the guy think twice about even, and so usually I go into these situations and these guys, like, you know, they one of the students, she plays, and they kind of look at. I said, well, yeah, okay, you got an amp or something. I said, well, I'm going to use he said, okay, fine. He was just all matter of fact. And I was like, okay. He just figured he's all hacking. I said, well, no, I taught the master class over there. He just kind of was really dismissive. He's a guitar player. He was okay. He was mediocre. I mean, and I hate to use that word, but there's a lot of mediocre musicians out there who think it's about their musicianship, and it's not. It's about your professionalism.
Got you.
I take a guy who is not so great, and I said mediocre is not because you don't play good.
Right.
It's because your overall is just kind of mediocre. You show up to the gig late.
Right.
You don't learn the music.
Right.
Then you want to practice in rehearsal.
Yes. Right.
Practice at home.
Right.
We came here to run the show.
Yes.
So I get over the guy. As a matter of fact, I called the tune, and you know, the young lady, she takes the tone first. I'm encouraging her. You know, he's kind of all, you know, whatever. You know, he's kind of trying to be pushy with me. And he calls us the musicians, and all the jazz musicians who are students at U of I are in this room. I'm on stage. I think they're all kind of more toward the left side of
Yes.
the room. Me, my best friend, and these other three students of Professor Hackins, we're sitting at a table, kind of. It's like we're nobody. It's like us and them, and that's kind of how they treat the violin players there.
Hmm.
And I said, well, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let them have it. You guys want me to just kill them? We're sitting at the table the whole time while we were there on a break. We're just kind of chilling. I'm like, well, okay, what we gonna do? How hard? Oh, he said, just take them apart. The students are like, just take them apart. Let's burn the place down. I'm like, okay, no problem. That's the plan. I said, you sure? Before I even went upstairs, before I went up there, it said, definitely. So she plays, and it just kind of then it's my turn to solo, and I patch in with a wah wah sound. Actually, I patch in when we're playing melody. They're like, wait a minute. Then I come with the white. I got the. I think I had the white violin. I just say, and then they're like, oh, this guy's got a different violin, something we have seen before.
Right.
And he's not even from around here. So who is this guy? It's just, I'm a shades on, and I start lighting the room up, and then I just go ahead and stretch it. I stretch one. The rhythm section, they're like, what the heck just happened? So then they wake up. They're like, oh gosh, wait a minute, we got a good moment up here, good musical moment.
Right.
All why these jokers are standing out there because they were just kind of rude, every last one of them. And I lit one up so hard up in there, the whole room erupted. I'm like, well, what's going on? I said, I might be dying. I was like, man, we hope you come. We want you here. They like the energy, but it should never be like that. Jam sessions should be open,
Yes.
and they should be respectful because I find a lot of musicians they'll intimidate someone who doesn't have the confidence,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then they might not want to play anymore. They might not want to play in public anymore. But the jam session should be a jam session. Come one, come all.
Yeah, show the love. Show the love.
But I've been places where those jam session leaders have been just rude, and then I go in and show them that I get enough confidence. Feel this building up, your house, everybody else's house. Okay, let's go. And then when they get it, it's like, ouch. I'm never gentle about it. If someone tells me that they're not really polite down there, then I go down and I just equalize the room.
There you go.
In the name of string players,
mm-hmm.
You will respect this violin. Look, you will put some respect on this violin. You will put some respect on this violin.
I tell you.
Don't make me have to come back. Don't make me have to come back up in here.
Don't make us call Jerald.
Because if I had to come back up in here, no, it's JD.
Oh, don't make us call GD on y'all. We'll call JD on y'all now.
JD gonna come with. JD will have his revenge.
Ooh, well. Dancing in circles in the coat and everything, right?
Straight cutting, But it's tough because they don't treat string players with no respect. And then when they see one, oh, ouch! Why you gotta be horn players blowing all loud? I always leave myself a little headroom, turn it up, get loud in everybody.
Kill it.
One time I was playing. Joe was like, "Wait, is he loud enough? Too loud?" I'm like, "This guy." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Because that's when Rodney asked me to go up there and spank this room. A bop musician, they sitting in there, chilling. I'm like, "What y'all doing sitting in this room? There's a bunch of people out here." They look at me like, "Who the hell are you?" and usually when I stroke one off, it's like the band has to take a reset. They just go on break.
Yes.
Because there's too much heat in the room.
Well,
it's like nobody can breathe now. I'm the only person, I take them to Mars, and I'm the only person who can breathe on Mars.
Well,
I've been there, I've been out of this world. It's like,
don't hurt them. Don't hurt them. Don't hurt him. That's a Zeta
Look,
jazz. It's not a
I'm
Zeta
gonna take.
Stratos. You can't go to the Stratos on them all the time.
Look, look. I forged my Zeta on another planet. Okay,
Well,
it has vibranium in it. You know, my instruments have vibranium in it.
oh
Okay,
no.
you know you. I tell people, you know, my instruments have vibranium in it. It's not my violin, unlike anyone's, it don't sound like anybody else because mine have vibranium in it. You know, I guess I'm, you know, I got that Wakanda, you know, Wakandan
Wakanda what?
Energy or technology.
Okay.
But
Okay.
and it's like these guys are recent. I remember one time I pulled the plug out and dropped the plug like like dropping the mic. I pulled the plug out because
Right.
I was direct. And usually I go in those situations I'm direct. I just pull it out and just drop it like like what? I remember the guy he went on break. It was like okay because the guy solo. He was like, "Go ahead." I said, and they used to always tell me to solo first. I said, "Are you sure?" Because I might. Are you sure?
It
Because
might not be the left.
what's about to happen up here? Nobody's coming behind this. You're gonna need a break. And it never fails. It never fails.
Whoa.
I tell you, it never fails. And
Okay.
I remember this guy, he was from Brazil or something, Colombia. Young guy, he's probably like in his 20, 23, 22. I was playing keyboard
Okay.
with behind a singer friend of mine. And occasionally I'll stroke a violin solo off. She's a blues band.
Okay.
And she does a little R&B, but you know, I popped one off, and this kid says, he said, what? He said, what are you doing here? He said, how are you even here? He said, you like from another planet. He said, this is not real. You know that you're doing what you do with that instrument. He said, I've never heard anybody do that. It's just, you know, I think with me like I said with players like Karen, Regina, Lupante, Christian, House. He's a very good player, no
Right.
doubt. We're just two
Awesome.
different type of players. I mean, you know,
Yes. Yes.
um, but him and I have a student, a former student. He's pretty decent too. He's like a John Lupante clone.
Okay.
Evan Gar.
Oh yes.
He
He's
plays
playing
with
with
Al
Stanley Clark
Dimeola.
now.
Okay, yeah, you know that's like the low budget Lupante. You know, because if he gets Karen up there, you know, if Stanley Clark calls Karen, he's going to have to pay her more money without question.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Karen Briggs plays with Stanley
Yeah.
from time to
She did.
time.
She
But
did
you know,
that Virtue project.
I've never met Stanley ever before. I've never met those guys. I've always been in my own universe. You know, Summer Madness was the R&B thing. It took off on R&B radio,
Yes.
urban adult radio, and even UC radio.
Not
So I
everywhere.
was kind of like,
Mm.
yeah, I'm gonna
Mm.
go over here and do this show with Biggie and Toto,
Yes.
John B. and Brian McKnight, Gladys Knight. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
catch back up to y'all on that other stuff there, you know, and I remember going to the Capitol Jazz Fest, and my buddy Michael Collier asked me to come hang out, and this was a while back. He said, "Man, oh man, come on, I'm MCing. Come on, drop something on the soul stage for him." I went up there, lit it up, and then we get back to the little hospitality they have. And I walk in with my crew. We're all loud and stuff. I'm like, hey, what's going on? You ladies, you want? I said, yeah, get some champagne, a couple drinks, and you know. And she looked at me like, the heck? And I look at her like, what's going on? I see some fountain drinks and lemonade. I'm like, I'm looking around the room, and I'm like, what the hell? I said, we got to get out of here. Go eat. You know, I never eat before I play.
Okay. I
And I'm
get
like,
that.
well, we capped it off, we lit it up, and okay, we're ready for a drink and toast and feel good. We did our thing out here.
Yes.
And in the room, all these smooth jazz musicians. They never seen me. They were kind of like, who the hell is that? They were, then the guy at WHUR, he was one of the hosts emceeing it, and he says, "Oh shoot!" He said, and I heard him say it. I didn't even look over there. Marcus Miller was sitting down, and it was quiet. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" So, when the guy, I heard him tell me, and they look like they're like, "Oh shoot, it's this guy we've never seen before." He never been on the jazz festivals. I'm kind of like, nah. I'm the urban instrumentalist. I'm the, that I can play jazz. I love jazz. But at that time when I was getting into this,
yes,
jazz, if you went jazz, you put yourself in a pigeonhole. So I was like, oh no, the money was different. Yes. Pay was different on an R&B show versus a jazz show. The R&B show sold out. The hip hop show sold out. It's just a whole different kind of just everything's different.
Yes.
And when they said that, those folks looked over at me. I was like, what the hell? And as quick as they did that, I said hi to the guy at from the radio station, the DJ.
Yes.
And right after that, I was like, let's go. I was like, let's go. And so we all dipped off and ran off and took off. We just took off. And so I'm out there, and I'm sitting out there, this guy keeps bumping into me. I'm saying we're waiting on the transport to take us out back to the parking lot. I'm like, who the heck is just bumping into me the whole time? He's pushing me, I'm pushing back. It's kind of like this. I'm like, okay, who the hell is this? And we got a whole bunch of people talking to me, talking to whoever's person. I'm just like, and this woman says, Al, hey, Al. She pushes past everybody. I'm like, what the heck? Who is this person? Coming saying Al. Mm-hmm. I turn around and I look down, and I'm taller than this guy. It was Al Jarreau. Al Jarreau. We sit here like, I'm like, this guy don't stop. We're kind of fighting for our space, and we're literally bumping into each other like, hey, he's
right.
throwing elbows low key. And I turn around. I said, oh shoot, you Al Jarreau. I had a moment. I was like, he said, yeah. I said, hey man, what's up? Like, what's up? Hey,
I tell you.
Hey. And I told my mother that story, and she's a big Al Jarreau fan. She said, for real?
Really?
I said, I had no idea Al Jarreau was standing behind me for like 8 minutes. We would, maybe longer. She said, get out of here. And I turned around. I shook his hands like, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was it.
Wow.
And the next time they were giving him a tribute. He died like shortly thereafter. I was like, wow. I mean, just like, what in the world? I had the same moment when I was on tour with Bernie Mac. I met Roy Ayers. I'm like, man, I'm in Roy Ayers' dressing room sipping cognac. I was like, my friends, I got to call somebody.
I'm kicking back with the cognac with.
Because Roy said, come on, man, young blood. You want something to drink? I was like, yeah. I didn't want to get in his way. I'm like, oh, Roy. I'm looking at the door. He said, hey, man, come on in, young blood. Yeah, I like the music. I like what you do. I had met Roy.
Right.
Before we did a concert together. I met Roy after another time, but that was my first meeting with him. And Roy was like, ooh, I was like, Roy, bro. Sitting back, and I said, man, call me, Frank. Ain't nobody call. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have my phone with me. I was like, man, who can I call? I mean, everybody I would call was at the concert.
Right. They're already there.
I'm like, gosh. So when after the concert, I told them, they said, stop lying. I said, yeah, me and Roy, I had a drink with Roy Ayers. It was like, what the heck? And then I met Roy again. I did a concert somewhere else. And then I did a record produced with Stanley Cooper, and we were trying to bring Roy in. We just could never get it lined up.
Right.
But yeah, he's on a whole nother level. I mean, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I think if
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these musicians could latch into what Roy does,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a good thing. But I don't know. None of these guys want to. They don't want to. They want to just copy each other and try and out hype each other. I think it's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, out
And
hype each
everything
other
sounds
with.
the same
And
and the same vibe and the
well, they all
same,
sound the same.
well, yeah.
They all sound the
Mm-hmm.
same. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a solution to that, and we're working on something that if I can pull it off, it's going to be.
Okay.
Some folks gonna get their feelings hurt.
Well,
I'm going virtual. There might be a virtual Jerald, virtual JD.
that means he's gonna be around and
You know,
everywhere. Oh
doing
boy.
all sorts of very Jerald Daemyon like stuff. You
Yes.
know, violin with the violin, of course.
Oh my
You
goodness.
know, it can get devastating. I'm almost go. It can almost be like Mortal Kombat in the virtual world with me with a violin. You know,
That's all right.
yeah,
That's all
I'm
right.
going to go there if I can.
Looking
You
forward
know,
to it.
I just gotta, like NBA 2K. We need to get me in one of those suits or something where they can catch all my movements and stuff, and I can have some finishing moves like Mortal Kombat or something.
Right, right, right.
That kind of
Awesome.
stuff. But I don't know, man. I mean, we got to get together and play. What's going on with you? I checked out you guys'
Yeah.
tunes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
doing a little bit of this and that, and as you know, and all that kind of stuff, and we can rap about that, So I just want to listen. I just want to thank you for taking your time out, for coming on the podcast and letting people hear about your version of mindset, discipline, and focus. And what did I tell everybody? What did I tell everybody? This cat is the real deal, for real, for real. Mindset, discipline, focus, all roll into one enchilada. Jerald Daemyon.
brother. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Um, I couldn't do it without individuals like yourself, and even just the people in general. Um, for what's coming, we're gonna have the whole world dancing.
Woo!
Uh,
Yeah. To wrap it up, I want to know. Drop me a link. Tell me, where can people get your vibe? Everything that you've already got out, and where they're going to get the new
we've
stuff.
got not on the outside out. We got the Jerald Daemyon and Motor Soul Collective. That's going to be one. That's one of my groups. The Maurice Mahan records. Look for him. K. John. I've touched his career. Tyra Levon. I've laid hands on her music. We've got the Jerald Daemyon experience coming. Karen Briggs and we got this quartet that's fabulous. Going to kick butt. I'll let you guys know when that's coming. It's coming real soon in July.
I'm scared.
So you're going to see myself, Karen Briggs, Dayron Santa Maria, and Johnny Walker on cello with the rhythm section. Sonny Emery, Miyango. Oh yeah, it's about to get. This is a young lady named Norika on keys, and this guy named Eli, and this brother, I can't think of his name. He's African from DC, but yeah, it's called the Contempo Orchestra. We've got my piano record, Love Story.
Yes.
And then we've got the Matador. We got Deblon Jackson's record, Stanley Cooper, Patricia Lacey. Mm-hmm. We've got Jazzistra. Jerald Daemyon and Jazzistra. We got my gospel record, Just Believe, or Jerald Daemyon and the True Believers.
Okay.
There's going to be a new version of The Devil Went Down to Georgia. I'm going to record a new version of that.
Okay.
And because I've had people ask me, can I play it? I'm like, okay, let me just shut it down and do it. And then I'm going to redo Libre Tango. So I'm about to really finesse the Pizzoli thing in ways.
Yes.
And I'm going to redo Schindler's List, the thing for Schindler's List. I got a list of things that I'm going to do. Okay. We're going to be crossing some boundaries and some borders. We got the Matador, and then the next installment is Lord of the Desert. That's the Eastern installment. The Matador is fully orchestrated. Section. So that'll be something you see at the Symphony Hall. And then we've got the final installment on that is called America, which would be rock and roll, blues, and hip hop. And folk. So I'm going to finesse that in the true way that I do. Got a lot of dance stuff. Got a new version of Marvin Gaye's I Want You. There's a lot of music. I think it's probably, I would say, at least about 400 songs that I'm about to drop.
Wow.
Dance
You've been
music
busy.
too, and then yeah. I mean, come on. I took a nap during the pandemic. When I came here, I checked in. I was like, oh, I'm going back. I'm going back going back through the multiverse and going to Earth 1,000,000.1. Where we don't have no COVID. Shout out to my crib up in Mars. Because like I said, I'm the only one who can breathe up there. With a violin.
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap it up, and it keeps going, and it keeps going.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I just want to say again, this has been awesome. You have totally blown it all away. I don't think for the rest of 2024.
I got one more thing too.
This. Go ahead.
Instagram. We're gonna make our trip back to the gram, because I know a lot of people looking for me because I'm not always there at all because I'm busy. But the new Instagram handle, the real Jerald Daemyon.
The real Jerald Daemyon.
Yeah,
it's already there. People can grab it.
All right. It'll be up there, and they can start following. They can start following. Probably next week. We're gonna have all this content. Everything we discussed will be up there.
Yes. Amazing.
All right, brother.
All right, appreciate you. And everybody, as always, I am the entree musician. JD, Jerald Daemyon, is definitely the entree musician. And you know what? So are you. See everybody next time. Definitely. Thank you so much.